Talking to Matt Richter. Matt, congratulations. You're once again the candidate representing the Green Party in Parry Sound Muskoka. What an honor.
It is an honor, and I look at it as a privilege to represent our riding in the lead up to the election, as this is my fifth time doing so, and I'm more enthusiastic now than ever.
I see you got quite a long list of representatives and big powerhouses that are joining you. First of all, you have a member of the legislature. That's got to be quite the connection you're going to have.
Oh, absolutely. Mike Schreiner down at Guelph, and as the leader of the Ontario Green Party, he's been in for the past 4 years, and I'm looking forward to joining him after the election this year.
Well, I'm going to ask you a quick question. You can comment really quickly. I know you got 10 minutes, and then once you leave us on how to connect. So let's just go with this question that's coming in. What concrete solutions do you have for improving the lives of people across Muskoka, Parry Sound, and how would you achieve it?
No, definitely heading into this election, we've been experiencing a pandemic over these past 2 years. It's definitely taken a tremendous toll, and we need a better way out of this pandemic. And even though the pandemic's been what it is, before that there was so many areas of need to do things better. And so starting with ensuring that our health system is really prioritizing all of our needs. And so for the people of Parry Sound Muskoka, one of our main priorities is ensuring that mental health gets the deserved recognition that it is so entitled to. After all, mental health is health, and we want to see that mental health is more affordable, accessible, and comprehensive than ever before. And how are we going to do this? We're going to ensure that mental health and addiction care is covered under OHIP. And from there, moving forward, we can talk about how that looks, but that's really a key priority. And then in addition to that, obviously climate crisis, affordable housing, we have some great initiatives there too.
Well, with regard to mental health, let's give this one question because I had some people that I'm connected to. Mental health seems to have a very big concern about able to contact legislators or people that will advance narratives. Like there's a lot of talk to mental health about the effect of mental health on poverty, you name it. Now we've got some individual experiencing poisonous stucco. Apparently that's got to be investigated, and they have no money, no way to get lawyers involved or no nothing. They would like to have some reach to get some pieces of legislation passed. I think there's more than money involved here.
So if I hear correctly, you're saying somebody's living in a condition where the stucco is not appropriate, like it's not good for their health, like there's something airborne that's coming off of the stucco?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with bubble stucco. It comes down in chunks. It's so old. And then we had Alison Cougar from the town of Parry Sound, the bylaw officer, take a look. Yes, they found it. Going to try to find some solutions. But even when they're talking to this individual, if you want to find out whether it's poisonous or not, and there's all kinds of PDFs out there and information that indicates it's just been classified under a new system, you can look it up. But there's no way to find, even for her, she's not been trained, or it's not her job. I mean, whose is it? If you want to go and if you've been carbon monoxide, you can get help. If you need help with, let's say, the pandemic, you can get help immediately. Where do you go to get help with if this stuff is poisonous? Nobody seems to know where you go to get it tested and who's got to pay for it. Apparently the tenant's got to pay for it. Who's on poverty?
Right. Yeah. And so that's not a reasonable approach when people who are living paycheck to paycheck are now trying to figure out a way to solve the problem that they shouldn't have had as a problem in the first place. And in this case, it's the building materials, the stucco, as you're saying. Just really quickly to that point, this is why the Green Party of Ontario recognizes that housing and a right to a place to call home is such a key piece of good mental health and just good overall physical health too, of course. And it's why we're funding a retrofit program for all buildings in Ontario, as it's good for the economy, naturally, but it's really important for our physical health and mental well-being to be living in a place with dignity where the living conditions aren't jeopardizing our health or our breathing conditions, which I'm sure is what the problem here is with this stucco problem that you're suggesting.
Glad you mentioned retrofits, because following this interview, I'm going to stick in Mike Schreiner talking about that particular announcement because it's so good. So people stay tuned for that. But Matt, before you run along, how do people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Matt Richter at gpo.ca. Again, Matt Richter at gpo.ca. And we have a website as well, mattrichter.ca. And all the contact information is there, and very often I'll be over in Parry Sound during the run up to the election, and but nonetheless, it is the website would probably be the easiest.
Do you plan any Zoom meetings or any kind of thing where we can have participation? I noticed the one in Guelph was very, very good. But we're going to do some maybe local kind of things with you or whatever on Zoom?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we've done quite a few already, and perhaps with your assistance we can get more participation in. But we've had some successful Zoom meetings to the town hall forums where people can share their top issues, their top of mind issues, and what the concerns are. And even I push back to the people in our riding and ask them what they see as the solution to the different challenges and issues that we face. But those are going to be continuing, and when I hopefully get down to Queen's Park to be your voice and represent the concerns of our riding, I hope to continue that tradition, if you will, of doing regular, consistent and regular town halls on Zoom or in person. Wouldn't that be a nice change of pace?
Mike Schreiner is the leader of the Green Party of Ontario, also the MPP for Guelph. And, well, Mike, how do we save some money outside of sitting around in the dark and the cold, which seems like fun?
Yeah, Brian, we certainly don't want to be sitting in the dark or out in the cold. So the Ontario Greens are putting forward some solutions to help with rising energy prices. And when it comes to cars, let's make electric vehicles affordable for people. I mean, for me to plug my car in overnight at home costs a couple bucks or so to fill it up with electricity, about $10 to $12 at a high-speed charger, compared to what people are paying at the pumps. It just makes sense to go electric. And when it comes to our utility bills, let's actually provide financial supports to people and businesses to help them retrofit their buildings to make them more energy efficient, so we can help people save money by saving energy. And by the way, create hundreds of thousands of good jobs retrofitting our buildings.
But we got to spend money to save money. I guess we understand that, Mike. But it's tough for most people with the way prices have gone up over the last couple of years.
Oh, it's really tough, Brian. And if you look at what most experts are predicting, energy costs are only going to continue to rise. And so that's why, putting Band-Aids on it isn't going to solve the problem for people. I mean, Ontario Greens have been calling for ways to make life more affordable for people by switching to cheaper energy sources. And, now's the time to do it. And by the way, it also helps us address the climate crisis, which is related to all this as well. But you know what? It costs much less to take public transit, drive an electric vehicle. Let's make homes more energy efficient to save people money on their utility bills. Those are the solutions that can help people save money today, tomorrow, and well into the future.
And Mike, you mentioned transit, and that's interesting because I've been doing a little research on how I could possibly get to a spot in Scarborough in the next little while.
Yes.
No, that's actually true. I have to figure this out.
Yep.
There is no convenient way to take transit. It is a 2.5-hour journey. And you know what? I don't have enough time on this planet to deal with that anymore. And it's at least 10 years before any of that changes.
Yeah, I hear you on that one, Brian. And by the way, congratulations on your new gig. I wish you well. I've certainly enjoyed being with you on the radio, and hope the next chapter is as successful as this one has been for you. And, one of the ways we can quickly ramp up transit, which is something I was just in Cambridge the other day talking about, is let's get more electric buses on the road immediately. That's a quick way that we can increase transit rapidly. Probably not going to help you in Scarborough, so, I would recommend, my electric car for you for that one. But I'm thinking of people who live in the region in particular. So, getting from Guelph to KW or Guelph to Cambridge or Cambridge down to Brantford or vice versa. Let's build a regional transit network. The fastest way to roll that out is using buses, and let's make it affordable, accessible, and convenient for people.
Now you've given me an idea. We could carpool, right? That'd be good for the environment, right?
That's true.
It's not the worst idea in the world.
Figure out a way. I could get you as far as Queen's Park.
Well, you're going right. You're going right by where I need to go. So.
Oh, perfect.
But I hear this now and then, Mike, when we talk about electric vehicles, etc. All of those things And isn't it true that the more we put electrical vehicles on, the more we're going to put stress on our electric system? Isn't that going to cause its own problems? Because, hey, supply and demand going to jack electricity prices up, right?
No, it actually can help us. One of the problems we have in Ontario right now is we're selling a lot of our excess electricity capacity to other jurisdictions at a loss. We'd be much better off using that electricity right here in Ontario, and particularly overnight. We have way more capacity, more electricity capacity at night than we need, and we could be using that to fill people's cars up with electricity overnight, and then they drive it during the day and plug in at night. And if we even get really smart, we can have what's called bidirectional charging, which you're seeing in a number of other jurisdictions, where while your car sits at work, and particularly in the summer months when electricity demand is driven by air conditioners, you could actually put electricity back into the grid from your car, turning your car into a little mini power plant, making a little extra money for yourselves and helping Ontarians save money, because then we don't have to build high-cost peaking electricity plants to deal with those small, high-demand moments, particularly in the afternoons and early evenings when people turn on their air conditioners.
I guess like any other thing, when we go through these energy bumps, Mike, Dad's advice still maintains: turn off the light if you're not in the room.
Yep.
Turn down the heat a little bit. Try to do everything all at once, right? Like don't be spreading out the electricity all day long.
Yeah, you know what, Brian? I've turned into one of those dads.
We all do.
I remember my dad telling me that as a kid, and I've turned into one of those dads. I'll have to admit it.
I'm not heating the outside. Right? We all say it at some point.
Exactly.
Mike, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care, Brian. You do. I wish you all the best.